Hey everybody, Chris with Night of Living Card Games. Back again for day 13 of my first campaign through Earthborne Rangers, the Lure of the Valley. So, in the last one, I managed to defeat that Reclaimer Polyp and some grubs, got the information I needed. Then I got a psychic message to go meet Spirit Speaker Nal over at Meadow. So we're going to be doing that. But first, we got to take a look at the campaign tracker. We are up to day 13. So first things first, we have to read 94.10. All right. If you have completed Deeper Motives, which I have, you wake from a dream in which you were walking in a dense rainforest. There was a deafening chatter of insects, calling birds, and other sounds you couldn't recognize. You remember stopping before a tree which began to grow before your very eyes, stretching towards the sky like you were observing centuries of growth in the span of a few minutes. As the tree grew wider and wider, you felt the sudden need to escape, but when you tried, you found that you could not move. You looked down to see that your feet had taken root. You were no longer human, but a Verdesian. Just before the tree consumed you, you awoke. You spend a moment contemplating your experience. You consider the possibility it wasn't a dream at all, but instead was a message from the Verdesian. If it is, you're not sure how to interpret it. Regardless, you suddenly feel very awake and very alert. Each ranger gains 1 energy in an aspect of their choice for the first round. Okay, so let's see here. What one do I want? You know what? I think I'm going to give myself an extra fitness energy this round, just because my goal is to get over to the meadow, so that'll help me with my traverse test. All right, so that was 9410. Next thing to notice on the tracker is we've got a new weather pattern in play. We are now no longer in a downpour, we are now in a howling windstorm. So howling windstorm says comes in with 0 wind on it. An arrival setup. Search the general set for the what is this? Cerbusian Cyclone and shuffle it into the path deck. On refresh, if there are 3 per ranger or more wind on this card, remove them. Then the lead ranger draws 1 additional card next round and flips this card. And then a yellow sun challenge effect. Add 2 wind to this card. You may suffer up to 2 fatigue to add 1 fewer wind for each fatigue suffered this way. All right, real quick, when this flips, we get to a thunderhead. And then on refresh, it says flip this card. Yellow sun challenge effect says remove 1 progress from each card. That could be nasty. And the red crest challenge effect says a lightning strike startles a creature to alertness. Ready 1 predator or prey. Right, and taking a look at the Cerbusian Cyclone, it's a feature and a funnel. It comes in with 3 strength, has a presence of 2, goes along the way. Has a test on it, awareness plus conflict against a threshold of 2 to evade the violently swirling column of air to discard 1 strength for every 2 effort. If there is no strength on this feature, discard it. 2 challenge effects, Blue Mountain, move this feature. If you move it to an area with no other cards, add 1 strength to it. And then red crest challenge effect says move a card in the same area as this feature. If you move it within reach of a ranger, it fatigues that ranger. All right. So there you have it. So I got to shuffle this into the path deck. The other thing I had to do was, because this is a ruins location, I did have to put 3 reclaimer biomelds into this, and I am, let's see, I got the invasion mission on day 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am 4 days in, so I still only do it at ruin and forest locations. Tomorrow and the next day, I go to ruin, forest, and mountain. So they're starting to spread. Right, as a reminder, we are currently over here in the alluvial ruins, and we have to get up here to meadow. So I either go archaeological outpost, concordant ziggurats, and meadow, or archaeological outpost. Oh, you can't see that on there. So either archaeological outpost, ziggurats, and meadow, or alluvial ruins to the outpost, rings of the moon, and then to the meadow. That is likely the path that I'm going to take because I hate going through the grasslands. All right. So we've got all our setup stuff done. So now we've got to do our arrival setup. So I've already got the detritus deck there. So now, because we're no longer in that previous mission, I get to read the actual campaign entry for this location. On the plain north of Tumbledown, the Silverfin gathers its tributaries for the final descent over the falls and into the Verdessa. There you find a jumbled mix of ruined buildings, huge boulders, and massive chunks of masonry. You recognize the masonry as the same material that made up the great dam that collapsed and left the fractured wall to the north. For here is the debris left by the cataclysmic flood caused by that collapse, the ruins of the lost Estian civilization. So that would explain the detritus deck. It's where everything got dumped after it was washed away. Right, and it's got a presence of 2 and a progress threshold of 4 to get out of here. So let's draw my opening hand. Bold, that's nice. Insightful. Photoscopic headset, my vaulting rod, and walk with me. I'm actually going to pitch everything but bold. Draw 5 more. So a calming presence, boundary sensor, another bold, and another boundary sensor. All right then. I'll shuffle these into my deck. I think we got a good chance of getting out of here this turn. Oh, I did have to, the arrival setup, the lead ranger does have to draw the top card of the detritus deck. Technically, I think I'm supposed to do my my initial card draw and mulligan and all that before I even go into the location setup stuff, so not a big deal. Right, so I draw a Hungry Scroff. Okay. Oh, hang on a second. I need one more card. I start with 6, not 5. And my goggles. All right, we are going to spend 1 energy to get a boundary sensor out. Comes in with 4 sensors. I am going to spend 1, 2 awareness. Let's just get our HydroLens goggles out. Comes in with 3 drops on it. And now we are going to do a traverse test. I'm going to commit 3 fitness energy and a bold and a boundary sensor. And I'm going to exhaust my ranger to dodge the Scroff. All right, so that is a 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 2. +1, I succeed, so that gets me 7 progress. And now we do our challenge effects. Weather, add 2 wind to this card. I can suffer up to 2 fatigue and add 1 fewer wind for each fatigue suffered this way. No, I'm just going to add the 2 wind to it. That's okay. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing else I really want to do here. I'm feeling pretty good about where things are at, so we are going to rest. And because I have enough progress on the location, I'm going to travel. So I'm going to travel from the alluvial ruins via the mountain pass to the archaeological outpost. So let me get that set up and I'll be right back. All right, we made it to the archaeological outpost. Silaro Mako, the valley's preeminent archaeologist, set up this outpost many years ago with the help of his father. Since then, he has spent precious little time here, instead using it as a storage facility for many of the most interesting artifacts he's recovered during his expeditions. Inside, you find tables covered with neatly cataloged and carefully arranged artifacts and several notebooks containing the observations of Silaro Mako and his colleagues. Right. It is a location, a trail, and a ranger station. It is not, however, a ruin or a forest, so I don't have to shuffle those 3 reclaimer seekers into the path deck, although I did have to do that cyclone. 1 presence, 4 per ranger threshold, progress threshold on it, and a test awareness plus knowledge 3 to study the archaeological records, to read an entry. And looking at the path deck assembly, it said 1 of the 3 valley cards must be Archaeology Sinkhole, which I already put in there. And then lead rangers search the path deck for the next feature and put it into play. All right, so, nope, well, Quizzy Boss is here. All right, here we go. The next feature is a fresh Sitka carcass. Goes along the way, presence value of 3. Has 3 harm, and to clear, I need to put my ranger token on there, and awareness plus connect 2 to watch for opportunistic carnivores to move your ranger token to this feature. Yellow Sun, if my ranger is not there, exhaust this feature and go get a predator and put it into play. And then Blue Mountain, if there is an active predator, exhaust it and add harm to this feature equal to that predator's presence. All right, so now we ready everything up. We get our energy back, though not the extra fitness energy that I got before. Draw a card into Sill's sketchbook. And now we draw a path card. We get Sill Belai, artist. That's great. I just drew your sketchbook, Sill. So we will read 82 because she came into play. Let's see here. If I've witnessed a masterpiece, which I think I have. Let me double check that. I have witnessed a masterpiece. Sill waves enthusiastically to you from her perch on an overlook above the trail. Well, hello, she calls. If it isn't my favorite subject, how is protecting the valley going? Clears Sill with progress to watch as she finishes her painting. All right, so I need to put 3 progress on her if I want to clear her. All right, you know, we're going to spend 1 to get Sill's sketchbook out. So it comes in with 2 sketches. Now we're going to do a traverse test. I'm going to exhaust my seeker card to dodge the carcass. I'm going to spend 3 energy, 3 fit energy, and 1 of my boundary sensors. Because Sill is friendly, she does not fatigue me. She doesn't stop me from trying to traverse things. All right, so I'm a 4 versus a 1. 0, I succeed. So I get to put 4 progress on here. And now let's check the Blue Mountain Challenge effect. Nothing on the weather, nothing at the location, nothing on my missions. The carcass, if there is an active predator, there is not. All right, we are going to try to connect with Sill. So we are going to spend 2 spirit energy and a calming presence. -1. So I do succeed, but only with 2. So 2 out of the 3. And just for the heck of it, because I've got it, I am going to try to sketch Syl with her own sketchbook. So I am a 1v1. +1, I succeed. So choose a path card. I chose Syl. And add sketches this book equal to their presence. So I get to add 1 to it. All right, Yellow Sun. Well, we get 2 wind on the weather, on the howling winds. I'm not going to take any fatigue there, so we are going to flip that over this turn. And Yellow Sun here says my token is not on the feature, so I'm going to exhaust it and go find the next predator in the deck and put it into play. All right, well, that is the circling Iryx. So goes along the way, being predator, avian, presence of 2, 3 harm threshold, 7 connect threshold, persistent. So this will follow me from location to location. And then it says spirit plus conflict threshold 2 to scare off the loitering carrion eater to place this being on top of the path deck. If you fail, suffer 1 injury. All right. So basically, I can spook it off for a turn with that test. But it'll come right back. Yeah, we're just going to try. So we are going to spend a single focus to try to remember my ranger training. So I'm going to be a 1-to-1. +1, I succeed with a total effort of 2. So I get to scout 2 cards on my deck and draw 1. Versatile and my Paratrepsis whistle. I'm going to put the whistle on the bottom. Yeah, I'm going to put Versatile on the bottom too. And I'm going to draw the top card, which is Quiet. Ooh, very nice. All right. And then we got to do challenge effects. So nothing with the weather, nothing on the Iryx, and that is exhausted, so I don't need to worry about that. There's really nothing else I can do. I have no other energy, so I am going to choose to rest. All right, I am not going to travel yet because I want to clear Syl. I want to see what's going to happen. So what is this? This is on rest or refresh? On refresh. So since I'm not going to travel, I'm going to do refresh. So if there are 3 per ranger or more wind on this card, where there is, remove them, and then the lead ranger draws 1 additional path card next round and flips this card. All right. So for 1 turn, we've got a Thunderhead. And I will be drawing 2 path cards this turn. And my Vaulting Rod. All right. So that is the refresh. So now we draw our path cards. First one is a Pouncing Aatrox. Ambush, so I fatigue 2. The second one is an Arcology Sinkhole. All right, so we got plenty of stuff along the way. All right, first things first. I'm going to spend 2 to get Quiet out. Debating whether I want Quiet to just take out the Iryx so I don't have to deal with it. Let's see how this goes first. So now I'm going to try to connect to Syl. Because I'm in the same area as the Aatrox, it doesn't fatigue me. So I am a 2 versus 1. Or, yeah, 2 versus 1 to just try to connect with her. -1. I succeed with 1 effort, so that is 3. That is enough to clear her. All right, so let's see what happens. Another day, another masterpiece. Syl laughs and nibbles at the end of one of her brushes. I have to say, it was just so much fun painting you in the mountains. You aren't heading up to one right now, are you? Would you mind if I tag along and paint you again? So we can choose to either say, not at all. We remove all progress from her and attach helping hand mission to Syl. Or maybe next time, discard Syl and each ranger soothes 2 fatigue. All right, well, I do have 2 fatigue. Let me take a look here. Am I going to a mountain? I'm going to use a little meta-knowledge because I've been through both, so I would know if the Rings of the Moon or the Concordant Ziggurats are mountains. So let me check here. Concordant Ziggurats are not. Rings of the Moon are not. And I know the Meadow are not either. But you know what? We're going to say, sure. Not at all. You can come along with us. I don't know if I will actually run into mountains this game, but what the heck? Let's try. All right, so she's going to become persistent, so she gets to stay with me while I travel. All right, challenge effects. We do have a red crest. Weather says, a lightning strikes, readies a creature to alertness. Ready 1 predator or prey. None of them are exhausted. Nothing on the location, nothing on my missions. All right. The circling Irex says, if this being is within reach, and you have 3 or more fatigue, exhaust it, suffer 1 injury. It is not within reach, and I do not have 3 fatigue anyway. All right, nothing there. All right, if you have 2 or more fatigue, I do. Exhaust this being and suffer 1 injury. All right, so I suffer an injury. And this time I'm going to remember when I'm injured, I have to discard my fatigue stack. And then this one says, if there's an active predator, which there is all the way up there, so I need to add harm to this being equal to that predator's presence, and I exhaust the predator. So, well, that wasn't fun. That circling Irex just came down and swooped down and attacked Syl while the Aatrox was attacking me. All right, my turn. Yeah, I got to get rid of that Aatrox, or that Irex. So what I'm going to do, so Quiet has an ability. Exhaust, add 3 harm to a being, and harm to Quiet equal that being's presence. Now, it doesn't say that that being has to be in the same zone as Quiet. So I imagine Quiet climbed a tree and jumped on the Irex after it swooped down to attack Syl. So I will exhaust, put 3 damage on the Irex and 2 on Quiet, and 3 is enough to take out the Irex. All right, my turn. Is there anything I want to do here? Not really. Yeah, there's nothing really for me to do, so I am going to rest, and though because I'm injured, I do fatigue 1. So that Aatrox, really caused me some problems. Oh well. I am going to choose to travel because I have 4 progress on the location. So I am going to choose to travel from the outpost to the Rings of the Moon via the ravine. I will go get that set up. We have arrived at the Rings of the Moon. Rising up from a series of small hillocks along the edge of Meadow's vast prairie, the large towers each support a massive loop of dull gray metal and ceramics. Some have broken into half or quarter circles, but a few are still intact. The locals in Meadow say that if you go to the edges of the valley with a scope and look back through all the loops at once, you'll see another world in a reality just sideways from your own. Almost every artificer who has inspected the rings, however, believes they are part of a vast and non-functional sensor network. Right, presence of 1, 4 per ranger threshold, has a test, awareness plus exploration, to peer through the ancient guidepost to search the valley set for a feature and shuffle it into the path deck. Right, and arrival setup, I have to draw 1 path card. So, with this path deck, not only do I have the Cyclone in there, but since this is a ruin location, those 3 Biomeld Reclaimers are also in the deck. Oh, we get Aura Voss, Traveler. So, we found Quizzy's mom. So, let us read about her. Excuse me, you hear the call from a little ways off and turn to see a woman striding towards you. My name is Aura. I'm looking for my daughter. Have you seen her? About this tall, green tunic, asks a lot of questions. You mention that you haven't seen her, thankfully. And she throws up her hands. She was supposed to meet me at the ranger station hours ago. Can you help me find her? Clear Aura with progress to help Aura find Quizzy. All right, so now we're at the refresh phase. So the weather flips back over. So we're back to just howling winds. Quiet ready's up. We get our energy back, and we draw a card, which is Riri. All right, and now start of the round, we draw a new path card. Loose boulders. Oof, don't like that. It's an obstacle. Focus and exploration to move my ranger token to it to clear it. I may have to do that. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to do focus, and we're going to commit bold, so we're a 3 versus a 2. 0. So we inch our way along the precariously balanced rocks. I move my ranger token there, and it says move this feature within reach of another ranger. There aren't any. All the ranger tokens are on the boulders, so it gets cleared. I did not fatigue myself from that. I don't think from the when I rested. So put 1 there. If I did, well, oh well. All right, challenge effects. Blue Mountain, nothing, 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 nothing. So no challenge effects. All right, let us spend 2 awareness to continue getting my animal menagerie out, this time with Riri. And now we are going to spend 1, 2, 3, and a boundary sensor. So we are a 4 versus a 1. 0. So I succeed with a effort of 4, so I get to add 4 progress to the location. Red crest. Nothing in the weather, nothing in the location, nothing on the missions. If there's an active predator, there's not. If there's an active predator, there is not. All right. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't have the icons in hand to really handle Aura Voss. What the heck, though? Let's try. I'm going to make a half-hearted attempt to help her. If I draw +1, which I just did draw +1 on the spirit, so the likelihood that I'm going to draw another one is next to 0, but we'll give it a try. We'll give a half-hearted effort to help a mom find her wayward, annoying child. Just realize this one has the reshuffle icon, so I got to do that. I actually remembered this time before I did the test. And I remembered to discard my fatigue stack when I got injured. It's almost like I'm getting better at this game after 13 or 14 play sessions. I won't let it go to my head, though, because I'm sure I'll screw something else up. Zero. So I do succeed. I get 2 progress on her. But that is not enough to clear her. Yellow Sun challenge effect. I have to add 2 wind, and I'm not going to fatigue myself. So I'm going to see if I can do this mission and maybe go for another one. So, all right. That is my turn, so I'm going to choose to rest. So that fatigues me from my injury. And now I can decide whether I want to travel, and I do want to travel. I'm sorry, Aura. I don't have time to find your wayward daughter. I'm sure she's fine, though. So I am going to instead choose to travel from the Rings of the Moon up through the ravine into Meadow. So let me get a traveling. All right, we have arrived in Meadow. Before I read the arrival at Meadow, that does mean that we have completed our Journey to Meadow mission. So let us read that. You emerge from the tall grass and arrive in Meadow just in time to watch the swift land gracefully on the village green. Ben Amon steps out and waves, followed by Cordo and Elder Thrush. Thrush comes striding across the green. Cordo, a grim expression on his face, stands nearby with a long-barreled whisper-crack darter cradled in one arm. Thrush stops in front of you, studying you intently for a long moment before speaking. I came as soon as I could, she gestures. Walk with me and tell me what you know of the Reclaimers. You finish your account over a late but welcome meal in Meadow's common house. Calypsa and Cal Ivor arrive partway through the telling. Ben Amon and several of the villagers, including Elder Abel, have gathered, all listening intently to your description of the Reclaimers, their rapid life cycle, and the danger they pose to the valley, and to Spire in particular. Thrush listens closely, asking an insightful question. You've done well, she says. A group of seasoned veterans could hardly have done better. I believe your assessment is correct. We have to find some way to stop these Reclaimers, or at least limit the destruction they might cause. Elder Abel shakes her head. A bunch of ruin-eating biometals that reproduce and spawn in a matter of hours. How are we supposed to stop that? Seems like we should be thinking of getting folks out of Spire as soon as we can and letting the Reclaimers have it. You hear murmurs of agreement from the crowd. Cordo's eyes flash angrily, but just before he can speak, Thrush raises her hand. Just because they are drawn to Spire now does not mean they will remain there forever. Besides, even if we could evacuate the largest village in the valley, none of us know just how far the archaeology ruins extends underground. If the Reclaimers consume too much, they could undermine the entire valley. She looks back at you. No, I'm afraid the Reclaimers must be dealt with, and since you have learned the most about them, you're the best equipped to find a solution. Complete the Journey Meadow mission and gain the Remove the Reclaimers mission, and each ranger soothes 2 fatigue. All right, let me mark that down. Day 13, we get Remove the Reclaimers. All right, Soothe to fatigue. I soothe another copy of Riri and Eagle Eye. You are not alone in this, Thrush says. We will travel to each village and share what you've learned with others in hopes of finding a solution. She turns to the room. You've all heard the stories of the Reclaimers, she says to several mutters of agreement. Does anyone here have an idea for how we might stop them? Ben Amon speaks up. There's a skilled hunter who lives in Tumbledown. I hear this hunter regularly travels to the swamp to prune hydra worms, some of the most mindlessly violent biomelds in the valley. Perhaps she could provide some insight. Elder Abel grunts. No offense to the great hunters in our presence, but attacking the Reclaimer sounds like a fool's errand. If you'll recall, we were first made aware of these Reclaimers thanks to a flood. Killed a score of them stone dead. Does anyone know where the Shaper who caused that flood ran off to? Maybe he can do that again. Calypso steps forward. No, Elder Abel, but I've learned that his sister lives in Spire. She may know where he's gone. Elder Thrush nods in satisfaction. Thank you all, she says, then turns to you. 2 solid leads. Good luck, and may the ancestors guide you. All right, taking a look at remove the Reclaimers. Says, search the valley for options on how to deal with the mounting Reclaimer invasion before it overwhelms the valley. There are 3 different options to discover. Talk with people around the valley who you think might have ideas for how to find them. Okay. So the 2 leads we have are to go to Spire to talk to the Shaper's sister, or to go down to Tumbledown to find a hunter. But that comes later. First, we have to complete our arrival with Meadow. All right, if it is currently day 6, 12, 18, or 24. Unfortunately, it is not. We just missed the festival again. The grasses in this part of the valley rise so tall that you don't realize you've reached Meadow until the path suddenly opens, revealing several humble cottages centered around the stump of a fallen dolewood. A herd of ironwool sheep tend to the grass. A shepherd stands nearby, casually watching the sheep. He waves. If you're here for the festival, you're early, he says. Pretty soon, this place will be full of people from all over the valley, and sometimes beyond. There's food, drink, music, and dancing. There's one thing we know how to do in the meadow. It's how to throw a party. An ironwool sheep pauses to give you a look, then quietly goes back to grazing. All right, and this, we would go search for the Whispering Fields and put it into play, but I did not come in through the meadow or through the grasslands, so I don't have to deal with that. All right, so now we go to the refresh phase. Energy. Reset my boundary sensor, draw a card. It is Eagle Eye. All right, so before I draw my path card and start the next round. So my options are, so I'm here at Meadow. I can either go up to Spire, which would be come up here to Greenbrier Knoll and then Spire, or go to Tumbledown, which is, where is Tumbledown is all the way at the bottom. So that would be Meadow, Archaeological Outpost, Watcher's Rock, Tumbledown. All right. I think from both a time perspective and from the fact that my ranger has been fairly non-violent during this run, I think I am going to choose to go up to the Spire and try to find the Shaper's sister. All right. So now, top of the round, we draw a path card. It is Loose Boulders. Okay, well, that's obnoxious. All right, so I guess I'm going to try this. I'm going to do my focus. I'm going to commit my vaulting rod, and I will commit my other copy of Riri to be a 3 versus 2. +1, I succeed, so I inch my way along the precarious boulder balanced rocks. Move my ranger token here. That clears it. Right. Now the challenge effect, yellow sun. I have to add 2 more wind to the howling winds. I am not going to suffer any fatigue to reduce that. Nothing missions, nothing. So, all right. So next turn that will flip. So I'm going to try to traverse here. I'm going to spend 3 fitness energy and my last boundary sensor. So I am a 4 versus a 1. And I gotta reshuffle again. It is a 0, so I succeed with 4 progress. And now red crest challenge effect, nothing in the weather, nothing on the location, nothing along the way, and there are no active predators to trigger the effect on Sill. So I think I am done. I am going to, rather than do anything else here, I am going to choose to rest, which fatigues me 1. And now we are going to get this out here again. I'm going to travel from Meadow up through the grasslands to Greenbrier Knoll. So let's get our hiking boots on and head out. We've made it to Greenbrier Knoll. The head-high grass makes it impossible to spot the knoll until the ground slopes upward and you begin to climb a gentle grade. As you finish your ascent, you find yourself on a hilltop. At the summit, you find a dais of time-worn and lichen-crusted stone with narrow threads of metal weaving through it. You can see the dull and patinated threads form distinct patterns, the mark of the Estians. Right, 1 presence, 3 per ranger progress. And then red crest challenge effect, scout 1 challenge card if it has a red crest icon. Troubling visions fill your mind, suffer 2 fatigue. And on arrival, lead ranger draws 1 challenge card and does the following. If it's a sun, scout 2 path cards and draw 1. If it's a mountain, draw 1 path card. And if it's a red crest, draw 3 path cards. Scout 3 path cards, then draw 2. It is a blue mountain, so it is draw 1 path card. And this is a ruin, so the Biomeld Reclaimers are in the deck. And we get a Hungry Scroff. Right, now we ready everything up. Restore our energy. And draw a card. Another Hydra Lens Goggle. And now we have to flip the Howling Winds over to the Thunderhead. All right, that is that. All right, so now start of the turn, we draw another path card. It is a morning root, feature flora food, presence of 0, and I can do a fit plus knowledge to slice and share the tear-inducing vegetable to add 1 harm to this feature. I get to suffer 1 fatigue and choose a ranger. That ranger soothes 3 fatigue. All right, interesting. All right, what I am going to do, however, is I'm going to spend 1 fitness to get another boundary sensor down. So we'll get a new one out with 4 charges. Next, we are going to traverse. I'm going to spend 2 and 1 off my boundary sensor. And I am going to exhaust my roll to dodge the Hungry Scroff, who's busy trying to get the morning root. So I am a 3 versus a 1. I succeed, total effort of 3, so I get 3 progress on this. Challenge effects, nothing in the weather, nothing in the location, nothing along the way here. If there is an active prey, exhaust it and add progress to it and harm to this feature, both equal to that prey's presence. Or I could choose to do the Hungry Scroff first because I get to pick what order. If there's an active predator, there's nothing. So it doesn't really matter. So exhaust it. So I'm going to exhaust this. And then add progress to it and harm to this equal to that creature's presence. So as I said, and 2 damage is enough to take care of the morning root. So as I said, I was dodging the Hungry Scroff as it was busy trying to eat the morning root. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to move. Let's see how far I can get in this mission this turn, or this game. So we are going to choose to rest, which fatigues me. And now, because we have enough progress on the location, we are going to choose to travel. We are in a hurry because gosh darn it, we need to stop those reclaimers. So we are at Greenbrier Knoll. We are going to take the woods up to Spire. Get those packs on and those boots going. Let's head out to Spire. All right, we have arrived in Spire. Rising out of an island in the middle of the Silverfin, the first thing you spot is the landmark that gives the town its name. A massive gray spire at the center of the island towers over the cottages, workshops, and trade halls that make up the rest of the town. As impressive as it is, you know that it is but a protrusion of the ancient archaeology that extends deep into the roots of the valley. Right, the Spire is a location, a pivotal, and a trail traded, so I do not have to include the Reclaimer Seekers in the path deck. Has one presence, 4 per range or threshold, has a test, Fit plus Explore, threshold of 2, to enter the bustling town of Spire, to move your ranger token to this location and draw 1 card from the Spire deck. And it says when you would draw 1 path card, if your ranger token is on this location and there are cards remaining in the Spire deck, you may draw 1 card from the Spire deck instead. Right. And path deck assembly, it says do not put the Spire cards into the path deck, shuffle it separately, and put it face down next to the path deck. That is what this is right here. That's my Spire deck. And then the lead ranger draws a path card. It is an overgrown thicket in obstacle. Right, now we refresh everything. Draw a card. Ooh, a vaulting rod. That's interesting. All right, and now we draw a regular path deck. Regular path card. We've got the Cyclone is out. So comes in with 3 strength, and then awareness plus conflict 2 to evade the violently swirling columns of air. Well, this just got real interesting. So we're trying to make our way to Spire through an overgrown thicket, and a cyclone pops down on our head. Can't say as I like this. And I really got to get my ranger token up onto that. So All right, I am going to exhaust and use one sketch from Sill's sketchbook to sketch the overgrown thicket to exhaust it. So now it is not an obstacle blocking my path anymore. All right, so now let's give a try. Let's try the awareness plus conflict. So I'm going to take 2 awareness and I will pitch an eagle eye. So that gives me a 3 on this. That is a 0. So my total effort is 3, but I only get to, oh, I forgot to put the 3 strength on it. I get to discard 1 strength for every 2 effort. I only have 3, so I only get to remove 1. So we're down to 2 on it. And now blue, let's see. Looks like the only thing that happens is the cyclone. Move this feature. If you move it to an area with no other cards, add 1 strength to it. So it moves within reach of me. And no other challenge effects trigger off of blue that are ready. All right, I am going to do the Spire test, so fit and exploration against the threshold of 2. I will put in 3 fitness, and I am going to exhaust my ranger card to dodge a card, and that is going to be the cyclone, so I'm dodging around it as I try to get into the city. So I'm a 3 versus a 2, so my odds are pretty good. Do I pitch an icon to guarantee me it? You want to know what? Yeah, my vaulting rod. So I am a 4 versus a 2 on this test. -1, I succeed. So I enter the bustling town of Spire. I move my ranger token to this location and draw 1 card from the Spire deck. And I draw Elder Mora Orlin. So let's take a look at her. I've completed Lure Umbra. I have not. Elder Orlin looks you up and down and snorts gruffly. If you were a piece of wrought carbon, I think I'd stick you back in my forge until you were properly tempered. But you were wearing a ranger cloak, I suppose. What's your business around Spire? Clear Elder Orlin with progress to ask her if she needs help around Spire. Okay. Now, so blue challenge effects. This happens again, so I move this feature. So the cyclone keeps moving and moving, but it's not, at this point, there's a card and along the way and within reach, so it's not going to really impact me. I don't know, let's get rid of these. Let's try to connect with Elder Orlin. So 2 versus 2. Why not? 0. So I succeed with an effort of 2, so I get to put 2 progress on her. Not enough to clear her. Yellow Sun, and I'm going to have to reshuffle. Remove 1 progress from each card. Whoop. And nothing on the missions, nothing on those cards for Yellow Sun. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I got 1 energy left. I'm going to try to remember my ranger training. 0. So I succeed with 1, so I get to scout 1 card off my deck. And I'm going to leave it at the top of my deck, and I get to draw a card, and it's Oru the Sheepdog. Perfect. All right. Red Crest. A lightning strike startles a creature to alertness. Ready 1 predator or prey. There are none. Cyclone says, move a card in the same area as this feature. If you move it within reach of a ranger, it fatigues that ranger. So the Cyclone blows an overgrown thicket into my area, and it fatigues me for 1. That's funny. And that's about all I can do. So we are going to rest, which fatigues me due to the injury. I don't have enough progress to travel. So we just ready everything up. And we draw a card, which is insightful. And Thunderhead flips over to Howling Winds. All right, that is everything refreshed. Now, instead of drawing from Path deck, because I'm in Spire, I get to draw the top card of the Spire deck. It is Talon Lang, Sculptor. I have not erected a mighty statue, so... The glow alerts you to Talon Lang's presence before you actually find him. Crouched next to a heavy bag and rounded hemispherical pedestal. Above the pedestal, you see a whirling rainbow mass of sparkling shards of glass. Even as you watch, Talon reaches into the bag, while wearing a heavy glove, and hauls out another handful of shards, carefully casting them into the air. You see the brief flash of an otherwise invisible suspensor field, and the shards join the larger cloud. Talon thinks for a moment, then uses a pull to nudge and push the material into a new form. You've heard of kinetic glass before, but this is the first time you've seen it used in such a quantity. Talon looks at you as you approach and waves. He starts chatting with you as he continues to sculpt. Clear Talon with progress to ask him about his sculpture. All right. All right, let's try to see what we can do here. I'm going to... Since I'm already here, I'm going to spend 3 fitness to try to traverse the overgrown thicket. So it is a 3 versus a 1. Zero, I succeed. I get 3 progress. That is enough to get rid of the thicket. Yellow sun, I add 2 wind. I am not going to fatigue myself to stop any of that. Nothing on the cyclone, nothing up here. Okay, I am now going to spend 2 spirit to get Oru the sheepdog out, who is then going to exhaust to move a being and then add 2 progress to it. So that is enough progress on the Elder, because even an Elder can't resist the lure of a sheepdog. All right, so let us go to 60, clear. Mora glances skyward. Spire's a big place. Plenty of people need help. But right now, I'm most worried about that giant raptor, Umbra. The blighter may fly all over the valley, but she likes perching at the top of the spire, then swooping down to snatch up her prey. Last year, it was old Harley Jebsen. I don't want to see that happen again. Agree to help, and we gain the Lure Umbra mission. And reminder, find Umbra and attach her to the mission card. You can only do this if you don't have another lure or confront mission, and then discard Elder Orlin. Or you can say, not today, discard Elder Orlin, and each ranger soothes 2 fatigue. I think I am going to say not today. And then I soothe 2 fatigue, which is another copy of Oru. And versatile. All right. I guess I am going to do an awareness test on that cyclone. I will just be a... I don't really want to pitch my other Eagle Eye, but I think I'm gonna have to. Yeah, let's do it. So I'm a 3 versus a 1. 3 versus a... Yeah, 3 versus a 2. 0, so I succeed, but again, only 3 efforts, so I only get to remove 1 strength. Then blue challenge effect. Move this feature if it is in an area with no other cards, so that's not a worry. Alright, so we're down to 1 strength on that. I guess we're gonna choose to rest, because really I just need to get through the path deck, and I'll have to look at it. I'm not sure if Hydra Lens Goggles allows me to do this, because it specifically says path cards. Same with Eagle Eye, it just says path cards, and I don't want to deal with the path deck, I want to deal with the Spire deck, so I don't think I can do any kind of scouting or anything like that. I'm not going to try to draw any more cards. So we are just going to rest, which fatigues me 1. And then we'll ready everything up. Draw a card, which is my Camo Weave Cloak. Very nice. And now, because there are still more cards in the Spire deck, I draw a Spire card. It is the Arcology Threshold. Goes along the way. Presence of 0, 6 harm threshold, and clear it by getting my Ranger token on it. And it is a Spirit plus Conflict. 3, to brave the gloomy depths beneath Spire to move your Ranger token to this feature. If you fail, suffer 2 fatigue. And then, while your Ranger token is on this card, prevent all fatigue you would suffer from the weather. Interesting. And then clear. Once you clear it, you read a entry. Most everyone in the Valley, and certainly everyone in Spire, is familiar with the Arcology, but most of them think the upper levels that have become the basements and power generation stations of Spire. You head past the water turbines. Wait, it enters play. Yep. You head past the water turbines and the enclosed river docks, down into a level below the Silverfin. Here, the air is a bit damp, but you find yourself in a brightly lit chamber full of cabinets and pedestals. Artifacts are scattered throughout the space, each with a neat label identifying them. Most seem to be from the Estians. Some seem even older, from the decades before the guide led people to begin the generational project. A mousy young woman with large glowing glasses scurries up, introducing herself as Krishtu Meeks. "If you're looking for Solaro," she says, "he's deeper in the Arcology tunnels." She points to a series of vaulted entrances leading off from the chamber. Each seems darker and more oppressive than the last. Krishtu sees your hesitation. "Don't worry," she says. "It should be safe. We haven't seen anything dangerous in the upper passages for months now." All right. Wouldn't mind clearing that, but I got a bunch of other things to handle first. All right, first things first. I don't have any icons to commit to things, But we are going to try that awareness test to evade that cyclone. So I am a 2 versus 2. 0. So I succeed with an effort of 2. That takes 1 off. And now that there's none on it, it gets discarded. Huzzah. All right. Yellow. Challenge Sun. We're up to 4 there. Nothing in the missions. Nothing along the way. Nothing here. Okay. I don't really have any icons that are going to help me try to braid the arcology threshold, unfortunately. So I would be a 2 against a 3. That doesn't make sense. So instead, I'm going to try to connect with Talon Lang. So 2 versus 1. Reshuffle. Zero, so I succeed and get 2 progress on him. So I add 2 more. Yep. I think I forgot to draw an additional path card last time this flipped. Oops. But once you're at 3 or more per ranger, it doesn't hurt anymore because you remove all the tokens off it when you flip. So since I was guaranteed to flip before, it doesn't make any sense to do it, to take any fatigue. So we are going to use Uru to push the sculptor along and add 2 progress to him. So that is enough progress to clear him. So let's take a look. What is he going to ask of us? As you ask a few questions about Talon's work, he gradually pays less and less attention to his current work until he set down his tool and is engaged in a lively discussion with you. I've actually been asked by the elders in Spire to install a work on Stoneweaver Bridge. Something to commemorate its construction, you know. Anyway, I've created the design, but now I have to haul nearly 100 kilos of kinetic glass and materials there. He looks faintly abashed. I may have gotten carried away. Suddenly he brightens. Hey, you travel all over the valley, right? Could you help me take the sculpture to Stoneweaver Bridge? I bet it would be really easy if we had a boat. Maybe one of the ones Lynn Mira makes out in Branch. But we could just carry the materials there, too. So if we agree to help, remove all progress and attach helping hand to him. Otherwise, say not today, discard him, and each ranger sues tooth fatigue. So I'm going to say not today, but thank you for telling me that in Branch is where I can find that boat. So discard, soothe to fatigue, a sketchbook, and quiet. Ooh. That is interesting. Quiet's got good icons to maybe get that arcology going. All right. I guess I am going to, not that it's likely to happen today, but I am going to try to traverse. And I'm going to use a boundary sensor. So I am a 4 versus 1. And that's the arcology place has a presence of 0, so it doesn't fatigue me. So I'm a 4 versus 1. 0, so I succeed with a progress of 4. So that would allow me to leave. So in case I finish my thing, I may be able to get out of here and camp. Red crest, nothing in the weather, nothing. No active predator, so I'm good there. All right, I am going to choose to rest, which fatigues me. So I have, I think, 2 more rounds before I fatigue out. and 3 more cards. So I got a maybe 2 in 3 chance of finding who I'm trying to find. All right, we draw a card. Walk with me. Weather flips again to Thunderhead, and now we draw no. The Hardy Brew. Spirit plus heart to share stories with the locals, to search the valley for any one card and attach it face down to this location. After you travel, put the attached card into play. Oh, has an entry coming in. The 2-story inn and tavern is built as a hollow square with rooms opening up onto the open courtyard. Here you see guests sitting in wooden chairs with plates of food and flagons of spirits, most cluttered around a flickering bonfire of multicolored flames. As you move closer, you realize that the fire is actually a cunningly crafted sculpture of shards of amber, crimson, and bright ochre kinetic glass. It is lit from beneath, and the sparkling reflections dance across the guests' faces, even as they somehow bathe them in a soothing, comforting heat. You hear the murmuring of a dozen different conversations as you walk through the tavern. Calypso once told you that news spreads faster in places like a Hardy Brew than anywhere else in the valley. You imagine that if you needed to find someone's location, asking around would be a good way to start. And maybe your adventurers can find a dungeon to crawl through. Oh, wait, that's a different game. All right. I'm going to try the test on the arcology place. So I'm going to do 2 spirit, and I will commit quiet. So I am a 4 versus 3. I succeed. If I had failed that, I would suffer 2 fatigue, and then my game would be done because when I rested next, I would fatigue out. But I succeeded, so I get to. That's interesting. So, I guess the question is: so if I move my ranger token to clear it here, do I then have to move my ranger token back? It's going to come back to me, so I would have to do that test again to get back onto Spire. I think. Whatever, let's try it. So I cleared it. So I get to read at 58. Maybe something good will happen to me. You become accustomed to the gloomy chambers of the arcology and make your way quickly to Solaro's latest site. He looks up from another etching in the wall, and he grins when he sees you. "My friends," he calls. "Good to see you as always. Quickly, come here and look at this." You crouch next to him and see that he has been scraping away lichen from what appears to be a set of lines stamped all across the metal. "I think it's a map," Solaro claims. "If I'm right, this arcology goes much deeper than any of us assumed. It's spread out much further, too. All through the valley, and maybe even out into the Verdessa." You tell Solaro about your own investigations, and he excitedly compares your notes to his map. "Indeed, indeed," he shouts. "Thanks to your observations, I think I can orient myself to this map. It appears you're right. The arcology does reach out to the Verdessa. See this route here? It reaches all the way out into that huge forest. There must be something there. Too bad the route is far deeper than we've ever traveled in these ruins." He thinks for a long moment. "But what makes me even more curious is the evidence that they were gone long before the floods. I always assumed the floods wiped them out. But if they were already gone, then, well, clearly the dam failed because of their long absence. So they must have left decades, or even centuries before. I can tell you one thing, though. They didn't travel overland. There's no evidence of them leaving through the northern passes. Honestly, there's no evidence that they migrated from this place at all." So what happened to them? Each ranger soothes to fatigue. Photoscopic headset and a photoscopic headset. All right, so that's gone. And again, I'm going to assume that my token comes back to me. So I'm going to do this fitness test, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to throw both phonoscopic headsets in. So I'm testing a 5 versus 2. Actually, I'll just do 1. So I'm a 4 versus 2. So that'll guarantee that I'll get there. Oh, red crest. Sorry. Ready a predator or prey. There aren't any. All right, now I succeed, so I get to move my ranger token here. Ooh, and I get to... Not only do I get to move my ranger token there, I get to draw a card. Hey, I think this might be who we're looking for. Dace, Ambitious Shaper. All right. You find Elle's sister, Dace, sitting cross-legged beneath a tree in one of Spire's many carefully maintained arboretums. A breeze rustles the leaves, but only those of the tree beneath which Dace is sitting. Greetings, she says. You explain that you're looking for a way to defeat the Reclaimers that you believe her brother, Ale, might be able to help by conjuring a flood to flush the Reclaimers out of the valley. After he flooded the valley, you want him to flood the valley again? He was pretty distraught the first time. I don't think he'll be up for it. You tell her that Ale is the best hope that the valley has, and that it would be a mistake not to at least try to convince him to help. After a moment, she agrees. You're right. I know you're right. I could be misled by my feelings about my brother. I wouldn't be able to convince him to cause another flood, but you might. Before he left, he told me he was going to go somewhere to practice his manifestations, somewhere he couldn't accidentally do anyone harm. You'll find him in the Marsh of Rebirth. Gain the Lost Brother mission. Lost Brother. Ale fled into the southern swamps. If you can find him, perhaps you can get him to create another flood. So it's telling us to get to the Marsh of Rebirth and find a way to travel to the Marsh of Rebirth and locate Ale. Then use 1.19 instead of the normal entries for Ale, Ambitious Shaper. Okay, well, there's the Marsh of Rebirth. I don't have any way to get to it. I wonder if maybe the Cypress Citadel might be able to. Well, either. Any way you'll shake a stick at it, I'm going to have to get from Spire down to the Crossroads station, the biological outpost, to the mound of the Navigator, and then try to go through here. Otherwise, it is come down around this way. Okay. Well, it's going to be what it's going to be. All right, well, let us see here. So, all right, that's a success. This is discarded. Red Crest, again, there's still no predator, so nothing there. Oh, I don't have any of that. So I might stick around for one turn, because if I do this, I could maybe get Ben Amon, and if I get him next thing. Oh no, hang on a second. All right, so I got a choice to make here. Because I just realized I have got 2 cards in here. I will, if I when I rest, I will fatigue one and then I'll draw one. If I want to be able to travel so I can change my deck up, I can't stay here this turn. I have to just leave. I have to rest and then travel, because resting happens before the travel phase, and I get fatigued from my injury when I rest, not when I refresh. So, I think... but then if I do that, are there any cards that I care about? Look at my displaced cards here. I could get that Reclaimer Mucus in, which would be nice. That's about all that I think I would care about. No, I think I'm going to stay here this turn and deal with it. Well, hang on. No, because this will only be good for today. Because if the day ends, I'm sure that's gonna go away. So that won't actually give me any benefit. So I was thinking I could do that. I could maybe try to connect with Dace to see if anything happens there. So I don't think any of these places that are connected are even around the mountains, so I can't even try to clear off Helping Hand. I'm going to check real quick. I've been to these, so let's see. Connect to the Crossroads Station. Greenbrier Knoll, I know, is not. Kobo's Market, nope. And Greenbrier Knoll, or no, Crossroads Station. Nope, that is not either. All right, well, I think I'm going to travel just so I can change up my deck. So I'm going to choose to rest, which fatigues me. And then, because I have enough progress on this, I am going to rest. So I am in Spire. I am going to come down through the grasslands. That's the grasslands, right? Yep, that's the grasslands. Over to Crossroads Station. And I think what I might do, I know I'm under a time limit, but I think I'm going to run over to Branch to try to find that boat that was talked about, just in case I need the boat to get to the Marsh of Rebirth. Alternatively, because... So if I go Branch, if I get the boat, I could go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it'll actually save me. Nah, it really won't save me time, because 1, 2, 3, yeah. But still, it might be a good idea to have the boat just in case I need that to get to the Marsh of Rebirth. So, all right, so there we go. I am going to end my day. I am going to travel. I am going to be traveling. And I'm going to camp for the night. So then I get to change up my deck and go from there. So As always, thank you for watching. Go ahead and hit the like button. You want to see more of this adventure, or Marvel Champions, or Kinfire Chronicles, or Dune Imperium, or Arkham Horror, or anything else I get on the table, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. See anything I did wrong or screwed up, or have any questions about the game or anything, feel free to leave a comment below. If by the time I post this, it's still going on, there is a crowdfunding campaign for a second printing of this game, plus a new campaign expansion and a new player card expansion, along with some extra extra add-ons like these, like new playmats, these wooden dice and tokens, and things of that nature. So if you've watched this and you're all interested, I highly recommend that you try to get a copy of the game. It is a lot of fun. So otherwise, as always, thank you everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you all have a great night.